I am so glad you could come over. I am having a cooking emergency. Thank you for being my emergency contact.
It is no problem at all. I was just nearby. What is the emergency? Did you set off the smoke alarm again?
Not this time. It is something that seems simple, but for me, it is impossible. I am trying to cook rice.
Rice? That does not sound like an emergency. That sounds like dinner.
It is an emergency because I always ruin it. I have tried so many times and it is a disaster every single time. It is either a big, gummy, sticky mess or it is hard and crunchy in the middle. Last week, I burnt the bottom of my favorite pot.
Ah, I see. You have a case of rice-related trauma. Many people have this problem. They think cooking rice is easy, but there are a few very important secrets to getting it right.
I need to know these secrets. I am making a nice chicken curry tonight, and it needs a side of perfect fluffy rice, not a sad sticky paste. Can you please teach me your ways, master of rice?
Of course, I would be happy to be your rice guide. Let's start from the very beginning. First, let me see the rice you are using.
Okay, I bought this bag of basmati rice. The picture on the front shows beautiful, long, separate grains. My rice never looks like that. What am I doing wrong?
Basmati is a perfect choice. It is a long-grain white rice, which is exactly what you want for a fluffy result. Different types of rice, like short-grain rice for sushi or arborio rice for risotto, are meant to be sticky, but basmati is designed to be light and separate.
So the type of rice is important. That is my first lesson. What is next?
The next step is the most critical part of the entire process, measuring. The ratio of rice to water must be correct. If you get this wrong, nothing else matters.
The ratio. That is where I always get confused. I just guess. I pour some rice in the pot and then pour some water on top.
That is the most common mistake. No more guessing. We are going to be precise. The general rule for long-grain white rice, like basmati, is 1 part rice to 1.5 parts water.
1 part rice to 1.5 parts water. Okay. How do we measure that?
We will use a simple measuring cup. Let's decide how much rice we need. 1 cup of dry rice will make about 3 cups of cooked rice. That should be plenty for the two of us. So, can you please measure exactly 1 level cup of rice?
1 level cup, not a heaping cup. Okay, I have exactly 1 cup of dry basmati rice here.
Excellent. Now for the first secret that most people do not know. We are going to wash the rice.
Wash it? Like with soap? Why would we wash rice?
No, not with soap, just with cold water. Look at the dry rice. It is covered in a fine, powdery dust. That dust is excess starch. If you do not wash that starch off, it will turn into a sticky glue when you cook it. That is what causes gummy, clumpy rice.
So the starch is the enemy of fluffy rice. This is a revelation. How do we wash it?
It is easy. Put the measured rice into a medium-sized bowl. Now, cover it with cold water from the tap. Use your hand and gently swirl the rice around in the water.
Wow, look at the water. It is not clear at all. It is white and cloudy. That is all the starch?
That is all the starch. Now, carefully tilt the bowl and pour out the cloudy water. Be careful not to pour out the rice. Then, add more fresh, cold water and repeat the process. We are going to do this 3 or 4 times.
Okay, I am washing it for the 3rd time now. The water is much clearer. How do I know when it is clean enough?
The goal is for the water to be almost completely clear. When you can see the grains of rice clearly through the water, you know you have washed off enough of the starch. One more rinse should be perfect. The rice is now perfectly rinsed. You can drain all the water out using a fine mesh sieve. Now we need to choose the right cooking vessel. The pot you use is very important.
I was going to use this thin, small saucepan. Is this okay?
You can, but it is not ideal. A thin-bottomed pot can get hot spots, which is why your rice probably burned last time. The best choice is a pot with a heavy, thick bottom. This heavy bottom distributes the heat evenly, so the rice cooks gently and uniformly.
A heavy-bottomed pot. Okay, I have one like that. What about the lid?
The lid is just as important. You need a lid that fits very tightly. We will be steaming the rice, so we do not want any steam to escape. A glass lid is a bonus because you can see what is happening inside without opening it.
This pot has a heavy bottom and a tight-fitting glass lid. It is the perfect rice cooking pot.
It is indeed. Now I will teach you an optional step that adds a lot of flavor. We are going to toast the rice.
Toasted, like bread.
Sort of. We will put the pot on a medium heat and add a small knob of butter or a teaspoon of oil. Once the butter has melted, we will add our rinsed and drained rice to the pot. We will stir it for just a minute or 2. This toasts the individual grains and gives the finished rice a wonderful, slightly nutty flavor. Can you smell that? The butter and the toasting rice smell so good. It smells nutty, just like you said. The rice is now beautifully coated in the butter.
It looks great. I think it has been about 2 minutes. What is the next step?
Now we add our water. We need to be very precise. Remember our ratio? It was 1 part rice to 1.5 parts water. Since we used 1 cup of rice, how much water do we need?
1.5 cups of water. I am learning.
Exactly. Please measure 1.5 cups of cold water and carefully pour it into the pot with the rice. Be careful. It might sizzle and steam a little bit because the pot is hot.
Okay, the water is in. The sizzling has stopped. Should I stir it?
Yes, just give it one quick, gentle stir to make sure all the rice is off the bottom of the pot. Now is also the time to add seasoning. For a simple rice, all we need is a good pinch of salt. This is very important for the flavor. Unsalted rice can be very bland.
A pinch of salt. I never knew when to add the salt, so you add it to the water before it cooks.
Yes, this way, the rice absorbs the salty water as it cooks, so the flavor is inside every single grain. It is much better than salting it at the end. Okay, this is a very important stage. We have our toasted rice, our perfectly measured water, and our salt all in the pot. The heat is on medium-high. Now, what we need to do is bring the water to a full boil.
So we are boiling the rice? I thought you said we were steaming it.
This is a great question. We are using a method called the absorption method. We start by bringing it to a boil, but only for a moment. This initial boil helps to kickstart the cooking process. We will leave the lid off for this part, so we can see when it starts to boil properly.
Okay, I am watching it. I can see little bubbles starting to form around the edges. Now there are bigger bubbles in the middle. It is boiling now. What do I do?
Okay, act quickly. As soon as it reaches a full boil, you need to do two things immediately. First, turn the heat on the stove down to the lowest possible setting. On my stove, that is the simmer setting.
The lowest possible heat. Okay, I am turning it down now. What is the second thing?
The second thing is to put that tight-fitting lid on the pot. And now, the most important part of the entire lesson begins. We do not touch it.
Do not touch it? But I want to stir it. I feel like I should stir it to stop it from sticking.
This is the biggest and most common mistake people make. You must fight the urge to stir. The rice does not need your help right now. In fact, if you stir it, you will ruin it.
How will stirring ruin it?
When you stir the rice, you break up the grains and release their starch. What does starch create?
Gummy, sticky glue. I remember. So, no stirring. What about peeking? Can I just lift the lid for a tiny second to see if it is okay?
Absolutely not. This is the golden rule of cooking rice. Do not lift the lid, not even for a second. The rice is not cooking from the heat at the bottom of the pot anymore. It is cooking from the steam that is now trapped inside the pot. If you lift the lid, all of that precious steam will escape.
So the steam is doing all the work. If I let the steam out, the rice will not cook properly. It will probably be crunchy.
Exactly! You're putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So, we have the pot on the lowest heat with the lid on tight. Now we just need to set a timer and trust the process. For basmati rice, it usually takes about 15 minutes. Let's set a timer. Okay, the timer is beeping. It has been 15 minutes. The rice must be ready now, right? Let's open it.
Stop. Do not touch that lid. This is the second most important rule of cooking rice. The cooking time is finished, but the rice is not ready to eat yet.
What? But the timer went off. What do we do now?
We have to let it rest. This step is just as important as not lifting the lid during cooking. We are going to turn off the heat completely and move the pot off the hot burner. We will just slide it onto a cool part of the stove.
And we leave the lid on?
We leave the lid on. We're going to let the rice sit and steam in its own residual heat for another 10 minutes. We need to set another timer.
10 more minutes of waiting? This requires so much patience. Why is this resting step so important?
During this time, the magic is still happening. Any remaining moisture at the bottom of the pot will be redistributed throughout all the grains. The steam gently finishes the cooking process, making every single grain perfectly tender and fluffy. If you open it now, the rice at the bottom might be a bit wet, and the rice at the top might be a bit dry. This resting period makes everything perfect and uniform.
Okay, the 10-minute resting timer has just gone off. I have followed all the rules. I did not stir. I did not peek. I let it rest. I am very nervous. Is it finally time for the great reveal?
It is finally time. This is the moment of truth. You can now lift the lid.
Okay, I am doing it. Wow! Look at that.
It actually looks like the picture on the bag. I can see all the individual grains of rice. There are little holes on the surface, like tiny steam vents. It does not look wet or sticky at all.
It looks perfect. But we have one final gentle step. We need to fluff the rice.
Fluff it? Like a pillow.
Exactly. The grains are perfectly cooked, but they are a little bit compacted. We need to gently separate them. The best tool for this is a simple fork, or you can use a rice paddle if you have one.
So I just take the fork and stir it all up?
You have to be gentle. You do not want to break the long, delicate grains. Just use the tines of the fork to gently lift and separate the rice from the bottom to the top. It is a lifting motion, not a stirring motion. This makes it light and airy.
I am fluffing gently. I can see how it is making the rice seem like it has more volume. It looks so light and, well, fluffy. I did it. I think I actually cooked perfect rice.
There is only one way to be sure. You have to taste it. Get a forkful and tell me the verdict.
Okay, the final test. It is amazing. It is absolutely perfect. The texture is incredible. It is soft and tender, but not mushy at all. Each grain is separate and light. I can taste the slight nuttiness from the toasting, and the salt is just right.
You did it! You have officially conquered your fear of cooking rice. How do you feel?
I feel like a real chef. I am so proud of this pot of rice. It seems so simple now that I understand the science behind it. It is all about the ratio, rinsing, not peeking, and resting. These secrets make all the difference.
They really do. And now you have this skill forever. You can make perfect rice to go with your curry tonight and for any other meal you want.
I am so grateful. Thank you for being such a wonderful and patient teacher. You explained everything so clearly. I actually understand why I was failing before, and I feel confident I can do this on my own next time.
It was my pleasure. Cooking is all about learning a few key techniques. Once you master them, you can cook anything. Now, let's get some of this amazing rice on a plate with that chicken curry.